Hello! Happy Thursday! It's been so long. It's nice to see you all. How's it going? Hi Patty, how's it going? It looks like a lot of you are joining along, which is so fun. I'm really glad because I think this is going to be really fun and kind of an addictive little project. And I feel like it's always the accessories that kind of suck me in, and I start making lots of them. Like I can't stop making those collapsible bins I'm designing right now. I'm like, okay, this is a stash buster. If you don't want much fabric left, you just keep making bins. So, how are you guys and gals, all the sewists out there? So, hi Alicia, how's it going? Nice to see you. My fabrics look so drab on the camera. This is such a bright, I don't know, maybe it looks better, but it's pretty bright pink. It's waxed canvas. I was like, ooh, maybe I should make a waxed canvas version. I have my interfacing out because I'm kind of thinking about using it. I'm going to use this Essex linen cotton and this Liberty of London as a lining, because why not, right? And I'm probably going to interline with some canvas too, because, well, none of my fabrics are very heavy, and it does say in the instructions they recommend using like a canvas or denim or twill or something like that for both layers. So, hey Malin, thanks. I know, can you believe it? 2 years. Hey Derek, how's it going? Vicky, woo woo, and 2 others from them. Oh, you did? What did you get? This is my first Elbe Textiles pattern, so that's fun. There's so many patterns out there, aren't there? So many good ones. So many good pattern companies too. And this is like all my little scraps. I keep cutting stuff out of this fabric. Look, this is actually a cut piece from a zip double, because maybe I'll line it with that. So I have 3 hats here picked out. Look at this. This is that stitched stuff. See, it's like got that texture. I made a bow top out of this. This would be pretty cute. This is more probably a better coloring for me too. So time flies. I actually had to think about it, Malin. I was like, it's only 2 years, right? It's not 3. Isn't that funny? Like, I don't know why I added the extra year there. I just feel like I've come a long way. So, oh, both hats and a free t-shirt. Nice. Cool. T-shirts are another thing. I could make a bunch of those. All right. Has anyone made it? Nice, Malin. Oh, you're making trousers? Getting ready for the cooler weather? Well, it's probably a little cooler where you are anyway, right? It's been so cool at my house, which I know like anyone else in my area is probably like, it has not been cool here. But my new house, it has this amazing breeze that comes down off of the hills, and it's actually really cold at night, and I love it. I love it so much. I haven't even used my little like air cooling under the mattress thing, but like 3 times since I've moved there. It's so awesome. So I'm so excited. In fact, I think I've decided my Jelly Roll Race quilts will be duvet covers, because I just like down comforters, you know. So, and quilts are just so, I don't like that they don't like cover, like there's like quilt sleeve pockets, you know, and I like things touching me. I like the weight of it. So Judith, nice to see you. Thank you. 2 years. I started the stream while I still had chicken boots and had no idea that, you know, of course, that the campfire was going to happen or that I would be closing my business. So I'm glad that this was here to fall back on as far as a distraction and a time suck. Is it, Malin? Nice. Yeah, right, Malin? There are some parts of the world, like where I used to live, where summers are actually not the best time of year. The sunniest time of year there, it's not the warmest time of year, but it's the sunniest, is in January. And same with like, I know the Pacific Northwest, maybe if Sydney comes in, she can vouch for this. September is when it gets sunny there, and it's glorious there. It's just incredible. But the summers are a little meh, a little foggy and overcast, and that's the worst for me. I don't mind if it's raining. It can rain every day, but if it's just foggy and overcast day after day, ugh. So, anywho, I'm pretty excited about this. So we're making the Elbe Textiles bucket hat. This is what it looks like. I don't have any pictures of it here, but I also I pulled up the hashtag. So if you guys want to see the hashtag, let's see. I'm going to pull up the hashtag. I won't be able to see the chat. And then, nope, that's not it. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to minimize this. So you can see the hashtag here. So I just saved this here, and look at all these really great bucket hats. Like, I really want this one right here. I love that fabric. It's so cute. And then it was when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, look at the waxed canvas. And it's obviously unisex, which is great. I mean, look at the variety. Look at this person put like a longer brim. Or maybe it's a different pattern actually. Look at the checkers. This is like, this looks addictive, I'm pretty sure. Look at all these smiling, happy bucket hat wearers. Ooh, look at all these. Oh my gosh. So anyway, there's plenty. Oh, did you see this gal here? She frayed the edge. That's kind of cool. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. That's a rifle. Ooh, is this one patchwork? Is this one patchwork? Wait a minute. Oh, it's that. I was like, it's either that Akino fabric that looks like patchwork or it's patchwork. Oh, look at these. All right, well, oh, this one, look at that. See, if you don't have all the fabrics, look at that. That's pretty cute. I like that. So, and look at the stripe. You can do stripes. This is gonna be fun, you guys. I'm telling ya. So, where am I at? I'm right here. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you can pretty much use anything. Like, I totally got lost in my stash trying to pick out the fabric. I'm so glad you can too, Judith. It's nice to see you. You're so awesome. I always love seeing, like, you teach comedy, and I think that's really cool. That makes me, like, just seeing your posts about teaching that makes me sweat. I was at the dentist today, and I was telling them, like, I don't even think my friends and some of my family know that I moved. It's like, I think when people think you're a streamer, you're very public, and I guess in some ways I am, but in some ways I'm super private. And the idea of standing in front of people, I would pass out. I would literally pass out. So I love that you do that, and I'm always looking at it going, oh, that's pretty interesting. I could probably learn some things from that. All right, so yeah, so here's my this is my original. I went through my whole stash, and I was looking at all kinds of stuff. I think if you're picking canvases and denims, that's a good call. But I know that it's really easy to be tempted by your quilting cottons or maybe some fabrics you have left over from garments and stuff like that. And then for those, if you're using a lighter weight fabric, I would interface it or cut a third layer in a heavier weight, which is what I'm going to do. So, oh, neat, Mullen. You sweat. You sweat while teaching. That's awesome. Yeah, well, I would pass out. I mean, I hope they'll be teaching sewing again soon. I'm thinking about getting a face shield and because I just really want to. But sewing is something I can hide behind. That's something I could do very mindlessly, you know? So if I had to get up and talk about politics, I would literally throw up and pass out, like all at once and probably in that order, just because I know how I think, but I can't say it. So, but you're teaching comedy, like, so you have to make people laugh. Oh God, oh. I'm inadvertently funny. That's the only kind of funny I am. Sometimes I'm like, shoot, that wasn't supposed to be funny. Shoot, you know. All right, so here's my this is waxed cotton canvas, and I will say, I'm kind of disappointed in this waxed cotton that I got. It's very lightweight. I don't really know how waxed it would be after a lot of use, but I still thought it would be great for a hat, right? You know. And I feel like also that it's a little heavier weight, and it has that sculpting kind of thing where you could sculpt the brim up, which I really like, and I would probably interface the lining, which is obviously scraps. So maybe I'll focus on cutting out a couple today, and I'm definitely going to cut out this one right here. And I just want to note, like, if you're looking at fabrics, like if you're looking at something with a stripe, I put all my pattern pieces on heavier paper because I feel like I might cut a few out. And honestly, I left all the sizes on there, but I think I'm going to cut off to my size because it's only 3 pages to print out again if I want to make another size, right? So that's what I think I'm going to do. And then that way I have it. And I did this, I put it on a piece of paper unfolded because I feel like it's a lot easier to figure out what's going to fit on your fabric, and also to see how the pattern repeat is going to line up with the other side. So remember, this is your brim, right? So if you have fabric like a stripe, I just say this because if you have a lot of fabric, like I have obviously enough fabric here to cut a few of these out. I wouldn't want to waste fabric. But if you don't, and you're kind of doing that stash busting thing, you're gonna want to pay attention how you cut these things, because look at this. You know, if I use the grain line, this is what happens to the stripes, right? So you could kind of position, say like, you know, okay, I know I'm at the bottom of this gray stripe here, and my point is at the blue, and I would cut one out and then maybe use the piece of fabric to cut the other one. It's in the exact same, so maybe even if you're not matching, it will look like pretty symmetrical, you know? The other thing is you may end up wanting to change the orientation of your stripes, maybe so that they do more something like this, you know, where these stripes, look at, they're running perpendicular to the seam here, whereas these are running almost parallel to the seam. So just be aware of things like that. And then this is the part that goes right here. So if you have a motif like that bird print or something like that, you want to make sure you're cutting it up right, so that your birds aren't upside down, right? And then for the lining, I think you can get away with using 3 different fabrics if you want, if you don't plan on making it reversible, just so you know. So, you know, because this part will show with your outer fabric, you know, as your brim turns up. But these 2 parts won't when you're wearing it. So you can have some fun with really using some stash busting techniques if you wanted to, and not have the pressure of trying to find 2 complete fabrics for your hat. So that's just what I wanted to note about that. I ended up pretty much picking out something pretty easy to cut out. So we'll start with this. And I think I am going to cut this one out though, because I do want to see this in this like stitched fabric. I got this like white denim. I was like, okay, but it's stretched denim. I'm not sure I would recommend using a stretch fabric at all, but I'm not going to. Let's just have a real moment here. I'm not using white stretch denim for anything in my life, probably ever. It's just not my thing. This was an old, this was fabric from an old client, like a former client from a long time ago who didn't want their fabric back. I had a few of those clients not take their fabric, and so I've held on to it for a long time. All right, how many of you are making this? Oh, and I also want to show you all the other things that I'm making this month too. So I think I have plenty of this fabric. I just bought this to have on hand, and this is that Essex linen cotton fabric. It's got this really great texture. It's a little heavier weight than like say a quilting cotton, but not heavy enough to be considered even one of those linen cotton canvases, you know, that we see so prevalent lately. It's really not that heavyweight. So it's definitely got some body to it, but I wouldn't call it hat weight. I probably think I'll save this for this. And I'm just going to use this like drab remnant, because look at this crazy remnant I have. See, this is, you know, I'm pretty proud of myself for saving a weird piece of fabric like this, because I'm kind of brutal about stuff like that. You plan. Vicky, you're pretty productive. I think you're going to really enjoy uh-oh, I'm getting a tickle. I think you'll enjoy sewing that bin. Hi, Nicole. Yay, Pamela. How's it going? I haven't talked this much in like a week and a half. I better slow down. Nice. Okay. Yeah, a few of you said your cutting went out. All right, so I traced my pattern pieces onto other paper. You don't have to do that. And I think I'm going to trim off these other sizes here so I can make sure I'm cutting it out. I'm doing the small, which is a miracle because I don't have a small head. And if you need to make this a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, what I would do is follow the exact same grade. So this is like 1/8 of an inch. If you need it bigger, add another 1/8 of an inch around. If you need it smaller, go in 1/8 of an inch here. And you can see the difference in sizes here is 1 inch. So if you follow her grading and do the exact same thing, you're going to roughly be increasing or decreasing your hat by that 1 inch. All right. That would be the quick and dirty trick. Right, PA? Ray! Thank you. Yay, big heads. Right. Oh my gosh. I have so many funny stories about that because my husband and daughter don't have big heads. And when I knit our unborn baby a hat, it fit my husband. I was like, okay, I obviously don't know the trick with sizing hats, but I also wasn't much of a knitter at the time either. So I ended up knitting another hat, and they have matching hats. They did when she was a newborn, at least. But my friend laughed that it would fit her, but it wouldn't fit me. There was no way it would fit me. All right, so I've got those two, and now I'm going to trim off. Yeah, so if I'm a small, there isn't much difference in head sizes. And I do know that as far as like when you're drafting children's clothes, the opening of infant clothes, the opening of the shirt that you pull on is got to be so big compared to the body. We're just used to seeing babies the way they're proportioned, but babies have really big heads. And that's why you see the little slit in the shoulder to allow for that. So, Chelsea, hi. Nice to see you. Ray. Small is not that small here. So, 21 inches is a pretty standard size. Hey, Barbara. Yay. Yeah, exactly. They don't sit. Yeah, my problem is like my head is big this way, but it's not big from here up. And so when I'm knitting, I'm always like, okay, how do I change this pattern? If there's like a cabling pattern or a fair isle or something like that, I want it to be like 1.5 inches shorter. And for my husband, it's even worse, you know? And so I'll make his hats and I'm like, I'll leave off a whole repeat of a pattern sometimes. So it doesn't look quite the same, but otherwise it just looks like, it's just like way above his head, you know? Me too. All right. So, let's see here. Let me get rid of my pattern scissors here. And for the layout, I have plenty of fabric. This is the first pattern I've done in a while that is in centimeters. Oh, please tell me I did not. Oh, I didn't. Okay. I dropped my fabric in the black hole. The heavy paper. This, it's just standard pattern paper. On the East Coast, my experience is on the East Coast, they call it oak tag. And on the West Coast, they call it manila. So it's just pattern paper, heavyweight. So it comes in like, generally speaking, the most common width you're going to find is like 44 inch wide or 48 or something like that. You're in California and Ray! You're so sweet. Look at, I love that. So thanks for all the learning. Thank you. It's nice of you. You're making me blush. If you need a source, Judith, just send me an email, sosolive@gmail.com, and I can send you a source that ships from California. Because that's the trick with this paper. It doubles the cost in shipping because it's so heavy. Oh, I love that it came up. We need our little donut cat. Pusheen. So, yeah, Judith, I don't know if you can get it. I think you can get like maybe, oh, you know what? Try Waywack. WAWAK. They may sell like 5-yard chunks or something like that. And then you don't have to deal with I have a roll sitting on its end over there. So. You're awesome, Ray. I was just rereading one of your emails. They make me happy. All right, so I won't be a savage. I will trace onto my fabric. I'm just teasing. It's an inside joke. You're not savage if you cut around your pattern pieces. I do it all the time. But I do really want to keep this pattern accurate. So that's why I'm not going to cut around the perimeter. These kinds of things, when you have such a small seam allowance and the difference in sizing is so minimal, like only an inch, it's really easy to change the size of your pattern pieces accidentally by cutting around them. And because it's harder for me to cut accurately under a camera, I'm just going to be kind to myself. Kind. I have all my fabrics for my jelly roll race quilt. I'm going to make my own jelly roll, and it's this stuff, but it's in different colors. And I think I'm just going to do my whole room in this stuff. I'm going to make bins. I'm going to make a quilt, and then I'm going to make I'm going to make my duvet covers, and then I think I might make something like that hangs on the wall above my bed, because we don't have anything. It's so naked right now, you know? No, it's okay if you were really mean. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's my bad cutting skills. Okay, so there's notches on. So one thing I noticed with this pattern is the notches are really subtle. And I don't know if you can see it right here, how it's a little bit darker. That's a notch. You can see one right here too. So don't forget your notches, because sewing a circle is no joke. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sewing circles to things, you'll want all the notches. So, you know why I'm doing this is because I have a hard piece of paper. That's how I do it. You're not supposed to. There's no like supposed to. It's just, yeah, I'm sorry. I probably threw you guys off by doing that, but it's really just like in pattern drafting world, your pattern pieces are always on paper like that, right? And because of that, you can't even see my drawing, can you? Because of that, you're not supposed to cut around your pattern pieces. You got to remember, like, rotary knives are a semi-recent invention. They're like in the last, like, what, 25 years or so. So before that, there was just pattern paper, and you would trace it and you would cut it out with scissors. You wouldn't worry about it. But with the invention of things like rotary knives, it becomes really easy to just weight your pattern piece down and cut around it, right? Like we do with tissue paper and stuff. But as a pattern drafter working like in a factory or in a design house or whatever, it'd be a huge, huge no-no to do that, because you'll inadvertently like trim little bits off the pattern piece and it gets a little inaccurate. So, and this is especially before digital was a big thing. So in digital, yeah, you could just print another one out. You don't really want to have to do that all the time, because, you know, that costs and it's a lot of work, and it's like, you know, that paper is not cheap, you know. So it's just good to just preserve the integrity of your patterns no matter what, because you do use them as a base for things. I'm only doing it because I know I will cut it out better if I trace it. I also checked my blade, and I don't think I checked it very good. Stuff's a little bit beefier. I think I need a new blade. You can totally cut around your pattern pieces. I don't care. But I'm gonna change my blade. I hate having to do this on camera. You know? Yes, 1993. Is that when it came out, Chelsea? That's awesome. Yep, that's it. I mean, it's just, I feel like there's a lot of things that happened at once then, you know? So with the invention of the rotary blade, that wasn't really, that didn't really hit design rooms for a long time, to be honest, because it's just is done a little differently there. Like the order of operations is a little different. And in fact, one of the places I worked, I was like, oh, can I use a rotary knife? And they were like, a rotary knife? And they'd been around for a while, a few years. And I said, yeah, that's just a lot faster, but I need to get a mat and a blade. And they were like, yeah, okay. And then when they saw how fast it was, they were like, oh, okay. But then I was also like, oh yeah, don't cut around the pattern pieces. Like, that's a big time no, you know? A 65 millimeter. Oh my god. This is a 45. Those 65s are big. I've seen those. I know I have a few quilter friends that use them. All right. Hat. My brim. Get on. This fabric is so hard to look at. Sorry, guys. This would be a good thing to stack cut a few of. I mean, it is nice, you know, I don't have to have pins, you know, but the thing is, like, if you were to use your tissue, you can't trace around tissue onto the fabric, right? Because there's no edge. It only works because I have the hard paper to rest my pen against. I don't see my notches on this pattern piece. What happened to my notches? Are they there? They're not there. I think I traced this and then I added my notches, didn't I? This is the other thing, you know, my notcher, I just notch a little hole. You can get those on way back too, but you really don't need it for tissue patterns. You don't need all those fancy tools. I'm not one of those people that's like, this is gonna change your life. It won't. Rotary knives change your life, though. That's for sure. I'm gonna fold my fabric back up. Yeah, I wonder when they were invented, Chelsea. Because I feel like 93, I was just out of fashion college. I graduated in 91. And they weren't that common to have quite yet, you know? So I will say, like, there's drawbacks to using, like, drawing on your fabric because having that ink on the edge there, like on this fabric, obviously it's not a big deal. On this, it could be. You know, if I were using, like, say I was doing a white denim bucket hat. Why am I so far over? I'm gonna move over here. If I was doing a white denim bucket hat, and then I traced my lining and that with the Sharpie, you'd have to cut off every last bit of Sharpie. It is kind of a savage way to do it. Like, you know, you would want to use something like chalk or something like that because those lines of Sharpie are gonna show through your hat. It's also the same with sewing on vinyl. If you use a lot of vinyl, eventually you're going to run across seeing where you traced your vinyl if you're using any exposed edges of your vinyl. So, oh wow, the ear notcher though is I've worked on a farm. The ear notcher is bigger, isn't it? This is pretty tiny. What I like about this too, I use mine upside down so I can see, you know, my paper in there in the hole. I can find where it lines up and do it. You're taught to use it like this. This is what it looks like. This is the one I have from college. They're not that expensive, I don't think. All right. So, but you know, now I have these pieces. I could just do this, right? You need exactly everything one more time. You only need one of these. So let's just cut that afterward. Yeah, Nicole, right? In fact, someone in my chat turned me on to those too. Hey, Zachary, how's it going? Yay, welcome. They have different sizes and a couple shapes. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Michelle. It's a good tip. Yeah, these are really great. Nancy turned me on to these, and so far so good. That wouldn't have shown up on this, but I have had good luck with Sharpies changing color on certain black fabrics like corduroys, because you know I used to do a lot of the outdoor stuff, and on some of those synthetics that have a smooth face like that. Judith, oh my god, you guys, that's nice of you. Thanks, Judith. It's nice. I'm blushing. I'm looking at the setting up memberships, because you know I can have I never thought I would unlock these things on YouTube, and I did, and it just kind of passed by and I didn't even notice. I think I'm gonna by the end of the month have it sorted out and have memberships. That way it's an alternative to Patreon. You would have a badge next to your name that says you're a member of the stream, and then you'd have special emojis to use only in my stream. So I'm looking at it. I just was like, oh, I don't want to do one more thing, like foist one more thing like that on you guys. But I can have I can have private live streams with you guys. I can have give you private videos. I just wish there was another way to share other content with you, like patterns. All right. Thank you, Judith. All right, so we got that. These are already cut. I just need my top. I don't need my notcher anymore. You just need one of these. All right. I turned down my air and I'm already so hot. See, I talk a good game like it's all nice and cool, but now that I'm in the big city, I'm just kidding. Chico's not a big city. But it is a lot warmer than where I live now. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I transfer these notches to, remember, I think your seam allowance is like a 1/4 inch, so be careful doing any of your notches. That is one area where tracing with the marker and putting the marker on there, as far as like notches go, is kind of nice seeing them when you don't have to clip in. That's kind of good. I still have enough to make another hat. I bought this Liberty for a pattern sample, and I never used it. All right, so I'm going to cut an interlayer of the same stuff. So you could stack cut these. You could do all of your fabrics at one time if you aren't like fussy cutting around any motifs, stripes, or weird jogs in your fabric and stuff. I'm gonna add this layer of canvas because I think it'll be a really smart idea. I mean, you can even just feeling the hat like that, it still feels kind of lightweight. So I might even still interface it. Because she says, you know, you're gonna want a heavier weight fabric. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut out that over here. I like doing this. I like parsing out my little pieces. Let's see here. Can I get that on there? No. What if I go like this? Just make sure you don't cut your pattern pieces either. No one's ever done that before, right? Alright. I can see it's torquing right there though, so let's get it a little bit on grain. The grain isn't like hugely important as far as the way the hat's gonna fit and function. It's more important for your pattern print placement, stuff like that. All right. Yeah, so I think Barbara, wait, or was that you, Ray, that told me about that? That someone made a bucket hat like this and they added a face shield? Yeah, I think, yeah, right, Malin? Malin, what fabrics did you make yours out of? Here, I'll use my little, where's my marker at? Here it is. I have all the other colors in a pocket bucket over there because I was taking a picture the other day and I haven't gotten them out yet. So yeah, one of the viewers in the chat said these little Crayola washable markers, she says she hasn't had them not come out of something yet. And I really love the Choco liner. It's something I've used for a really long time, since they came out probably. I really love it, but I also used it a lot with accessories. And those things didn't get washed, and I would notice that the chalk would stick around for years. So it wasn't a big deal where we were doing it on those things because it wasn't visible. And I just thought it was a fluke. When I started doing it on like my buttons and buttonholes of my garments, I started to kind of worry like that it wouldn't go away right here, front and center, you know. I never really tested it out, but I did see a little bit of the yellow still there, and I don't really want that, you know. And that's when Nancy was talking about these markers and how great they are. Okay, so I have notches here, so I need to transfer, I think, some of those notches on those pieces there. I don't really need the notches actually on this interlining. I just want to make sure that these pieces here have that notch. Let's line everything up here. This would be a very lightweight floppy hat, right? Even with, I mean, look at that, and that's 4 layers. So even with this, you know, it'd be more like this. A medium weight linen, quilting cotton lining, and quilting cotton inner lining. Okay. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, Penny? Proper fit clothing. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, I think someone said that. Maybe it was a snap-on design. Pretty clever. You could do Velcro. Because then you wouldn't have those snaps against your forehead if you did the loop side. So this is how my brim will feel. I know stitching will help. Do I add interfacing or not? Oh, really? We never ironed over it. That's a good bet though. And it was the yellow, because it was the yellow one that I always saw. So it's kind of, you're making me think that that's what was going on there. All right, so I see my notch here, but I don't see it on these. I'm gonna make sure this thing is clean finish so you can make it reversible. There we go. And then we have, they're all on top here. Okay. Yeah, there's like stitching lines around the brim if you want. I saw the gal who did that, the waxed canvas one. She only did probably 3 rows, and I'm wondering if that's because stitching on the waxed canvas was giving her some trouble. Because I know some waxed canvases can be a little bit grabby on your presser foot. I haven't come across one of those yet, so I'm not sure, but I have heard that issue from people. If you have a Teflon foot, which I have, but I don't usually break it out, put Scotch tape under there. I also know that the needles can get gunked up, but I really don't think that this wax cotton is an issue for that, because I have sewn on it a lot and it hasn't been any problem at all, you know. All right, I'm gonna cut one more. I feel like this and those dog beds, not dog beds, the closet core, formerly closet case patterns, the closet core patterns, poof, the floor poof, that and this would be my things of the year. I should have my favorite things I sewed for 2020 at the end of the year. Oh yeah, I've heard that, Michelle. I've heard that too. I actually don't know much about those. I don't use the pins very often. Even for doing my buttons and buttonholes, I use pins, just like, you know, sewing pins, rather, you know, than that. Not because of the fact that I'm worried about it not coming off. That's just not my routine, you know. You get your method. Look at all this fabric I have. Oh, it's folded that way. Well, I mean, it's enough to make something, but I already have some. This is the selvage. Oh, yeah. Look at that. I have like a yard of this. Wow. This is such an interesting fabric. I really like that it's stitched. This is at my local fabric store at Honey Run Quilters. They have some interesting fabrics like this. I'm probably one of 3 people buying their garment fabric, so they stick around for a while, which is kind of nice. I can kind of rely on, I'll be like, I'm going to go back and get more of that. I like that. So this has this, you know, this kind of diamond pattern. Sorry, it's kind of wrinkly, but it's kind of a diamond pattern. And I'm wondering, do I want to, you know, match that? Probably, huh? And maybe I could center it on one of these diamonds right here. I'm going to use this piece for these smaller ones, though. All right, so there's a diamond right here. I'm not sure you can see it because I should have probably ironed it. I think I'm going to put that diamond, like, right here. I do this a lot. I'm like, oh. Proper fit, right? Yeah, right, Michelle? I think so too. Like in the seam allowance, it seems pretty good. My only problem with that is if it's like a light colored fabric like I'm doing here, you know? And so like this, you know, do I make sure, you know, I could use maybe the yellow pin. It's probably a good idea, actually. Let's go get that yellow pin. This is probably nice for visibility on the camera, though. Sydney, how's it going? Let me go get the yellow pin. See, I was doing a photo shoot. So I have all these, like, things in here. Oh, this is what they look like, though. Oh, I have a lighter color. Here we go. I'm still kind of getting to know them. How's it going, Sydney? I was just talking about your, at the beginning of the stream, about your area and how the sun shines mostly in September, at least on the coast, like Seattle and the islands. I used to go to a sea kayak symposium up there in Port Townsend, and it was in September, and it was just incredible. All right, this is in here. I'm going to rotate that a little bit like that. We're making the Sorrento bucket hat. I'm sure you already know that. And then, you probably can't see that, but there's the yellow. See the yellow? And there's the red. And I have the circle. The yellow's that was probably a good call. So we need to center a motif. You can just put your center point of your pattern on there. Just like that. That looks centered? Roughly? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your summer is starts in September, right? It's the same in Humboldt. It starts in like October. And it just gets incredible. And it's kind of sad because all of the students that are new to the area who come to the university, first they get hit with something called the crud. It's this terrible sickness that all of them get. And then they, this doesn't sound terrible, but then they get the most glorious weather. And they're like, wow, I love living here. And then winter hits and they're like, wow, I hate living here. Which I actually love the winter there. And if they leave for the summers, they get kind of they live there for most of the sunny parts of the year. Like the winters and the stuff are just sunnier. They're also rainier. So there you go, Malin. Ooh, you did, Sydney? Nice. Yeah, second half of July to September is summer. Okay. I was a little off then. It's sunniest in Humboldt in January. Like, I've seen Januaries where it didn't get cloudy once. But it's also cold. This fabric's really lightweight. It doesn't seem like it would be really lightweight, but it's really lightweight. I promise it doesn't look as wrinkly in person, but man. The fluorescent lights are very unkind to whatever I'm making. Okay, so I just need to do the brim. Yeah, I'm gonna make my jelly roll too. I couldn't, honestly, there were so many good ones I couldn't decide, but a lot of them are just too cutesy. You know what I mean? I don't want cutesy. I'm just doing the Essex yarn dyed linen for all of it. Nancy! No, there's no smog in Humboldt. Humboldt's really remote. I think the entire county has 80,000 people, and now I live in a town of 80,000 people. All right, so I have these two here. How's it going, Nancy? Oh, no, Humboldt, California. Same explorer, though, I think. He made the rounds. But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. There's a Humboldt Street here, too. First time we saw it, we were like, oh. Okay. So what do we think? Like, when I seam this together, do I really want to seam it, you know, like right here? Do I want to seam it... Like, how do I want to do this? I think there's probably no good way to seam it, but maybe what I could do is put this in the middle. See these things? Yeah, Nancy, right? All right. I'm not sure about... Hopefully this is the front. So maybe I'll just focus on that this is the front of my hat, and not worry about how it gets seamed over there, but at least make it symmetrical. So I've been thinking about the sewing classes, you guys. I have a lot of work to do on it. But, I did sign up for Teachable, and I'm paying for that. So I really need to it's a good, candle or a fire to light under me. I don't know about a candle. And, I'm pretty inspired by it. You would love dry 80s year round. Well, that's what it is right now here. It's been really nice. Yeah, exactly, Sydney. So I've been thinking, I feel like I can go 2 routes with it, right? I really want to do a very, very, very ultra beginner class that's actually really cheap. That class that you wished you could take before you took a class in a shop and you were scared, what if they ask me about this or that, or what this lingo, or what if I don't know how this works on my machine? That's the kind of class I want to do. One that's just really gentle and really informative, for the person who's just I'm totally green, Why is this side over here and this side isn't? In the center. Okay. And, but that would be just general sewing, right? That would be this is the throat plate. This is what it does, why do you need this kind of needle? Is tension really scary? That kind of thing. What is the grain line? A very, very uber beginning class. And it be very affordable, really cheap. But then I want to do other classes, and I'm wondering, I was talking to my husband, I was like, do I do it based on a project or based on skills? Yeah, right, Nancy? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't like that. I really don't like lingo shaming or scoffing, or even the whole thing of when you see people in comments say things and then they put LMAO afterward. I understand what that stands for, and I understand laughing, but sometimes that can be kind of this passive aggressive way to illustrate, oh, you're so dumb, and I just hate that, I don't like any kind of shaming over ignorance. So I would really like to do something like that. But then after that, do I do something we're going to do a class on the Charlie Caftan? And then I probably have to go to the pattern company and say, am I allowed to do this? If they purchase the pattern, blah, 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 blah. Right. Right, Judith? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that would be, I think also teaching a class like that would make me a better teacher. Because I'm hoping also that at the end of you taking it, there would be a Zoom meeting or something similar, which I haven't done a lot of, so I'd have to learn about that. And then you could ask in a really safe place, I still don't understand what you're talking about, what the feed dogs, between the feed dogs and the throat plate, and why do I care about that, or do I always have to backstitch, things like that. And also from a perspective, because I can be very loose, I can be very much there are new rules. That whole thing recently on that thing, remember how I was kind of stuck on that Love to Sew podcast confessions, and I was like, why are these confessions? None of these things are bad things. I do all these things, and someone was like, I've seen you do all those things in a stream, and I'm like, oh my god. I also think telling people, look, there are really no rules around these types of things, but you might hear this. You might hear someone say, you should always do this. Here's how I feel about it. So then they have some ammo, right? They can go, okay, well, I've heard what Sarami says about that, and I hear what this teacher says about that. How do I feel about that, right? Because I think that's more important. Because when you start being able to be like, what do I like and what don't I like, that's when the hobby becomes more meaningful to you. You're more invested in it, and you're less intimidated, and you feel like you're standing on your own 2 feet about it, right? You can kind of go, yeah, I get why you do that, but I don't. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think yeah, LMAO feels like an eye roll. Yeah, and I see it so much in the gaming community, and I'm just like, ugh, that's when I want to eye roll. Like, why did you just say that? You know? But I see adults do it constantly. It's like their way of being a little passive aggressive, and I have kind of a zero tolerance for passive aggressiveness. So a simple project, okay. Yeah, I do that, Barbara. I usually have like a printout, and I was thinking I would have a PDF download, and there'd be some triangles and some squares, and you just sew on your machine without thread. Yeah. Okay, Malin, that's good to know. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. And the way I look at it, to put it in really stark terms, that I hope kind of gets the point across on how these rules can be kind of a massive eye roll in some ways, is there are people sewing our clothes in factories, barely making a living, and I bet you anything they don't know those rules. They are just there, and they are getting shit done because they need to eat. And I just think like those people are making our clothes and our home furnishings and things like that, and they're not like, oh my God, did I use paper scissors on fabric or fabric scissors on paper, or you know what I mean? I don't know. So, right, Nancy? I feel like I remember you saying something about that. Yeah, right, Alicia? Exactly. And I think that is, like, I think there's like a really good argument for done is better than perfect. And that's one of my things. Like, that's not always the case. There is a time for perfection, in quotes, because I don't think anything can be perfect. I think everything is perfect. Like, literally, I think everything is perfect, even the bad stuff, because you can't know good without the bad, right? It's kind of your measure. So, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd all be wearing masks, right? But we aren't. And so, there's these limits to that kind of philosophy. But in sewing, I think, yeah, like, if you don't finish it, you never get the opportunity to try it on and see what you like and what you don't like about that project. And I think that that's extremely valuable information. My only thing that I hate about finishing a craft that I don't end up liking is, what do I do with it? I have this anti-stuff thing that I'm constantly battling. So it's like, okay, now what do I do with this sweater that I just spent 50 hours knitting? Now I realize it's really not my sweater, So that's great, Nancy. I mean, the seam ripper is just a tool. I don't know, like, we would never, I don't know, what's the equivalent of a seam ripper in another industry? Like, it's just, like, you would never shame a carpenter for removing a nail, right? With the backside of the hammer, or whatever that is. The claw part, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah. So yeah, so skill-based, but with a project. Okay. Yeah, right, Alicia? Yeah, I love this fabric. I bought this to make one of the bins. But wasn't it satisfying, Sydney? Like, once you got past, like, oh, I have to do this, and then you did it, you're like, yes, I'm doing this. That's the one great thing about knitting, is that knitting, at least once you've undone it, it's yarn. Sewing doesn't have that kind of forgiveness. And it's such a good thing that knitting has that level of forgiveness, because you spend so much time invested in the project. And so at least it's still yarn if you unknit it. I've done that before. I actually did it in an emergency room once. I unknit an entire sweater while I was waiting. It was hugely entertaining for everyone there, so hey. Okay, so this is my lining. You can actually see, I think you would see this through. So it's a good thing I'm going to use this, I'm going to use this white denim as an interlining. Right? So like this. That'll actually brighten this up a little bit. Maybe too much. I don't know. This is the back side of the fabric. Yeah, right, Sydney? Exactly. And you know, if you're really upset about it, you can just set it aside. As long as it's not gift knitting. And then you can just be like, yeah, you're in timeout. I'll be back to you in a little bit, you know. And I've had to do that before for sure. I think also I don't have a problem cutting my knitting, and that's just not for everybody. But that just comes from being a sewist, right? Like I really like. Where's my other one? I really like making sure it fits, and so when I was a new knitter, I would cut my knitting to fit me. So I would put darts in it, I'd put side seams in it, change the shoulder slope. I would just cut and sew the heck out of it because to me it was just fabric. And I couldn't really talk about that I did that because I wasn't that great at it, but it horrified people and they made me feel like wrong, but I didn't want to unknit it at the time. Like unknitting it and doing those subtle fit things was a little above my skill set. You can just rewash it, Nancy. Yeah, you can just as long as it is you can keep it tangle free, you can just wash your yarn and it gets rid of it. So, but the other part about cutting your knitting is that I'm kind of looking at where I'm placing this is my style changes. Like my style has changed with some of the things. So a lot of my sweaters right now go to my hip and I want them to be shorter now. So some of my favorites, I'm just going to cut the bottom off and then just rebind it off. You know, it's no big deal. Yeah, steeking is, oh yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of steeking, but I can understand why it is a little bit scary for folks. But if you even if you machine sew the stitching on either side of where you're cutting, just think of it as your sewing project. You got to figure out the steeking method that works for you. There's a lot of methods. I didn't use the crochet, like there's like a little way to crochet in between. I'm actually not well versed in all the methods, but I've done it a bunch. I mean, it's not my like go-to knitting, you know, I'm not that great at it. But I've inadvertently done steeking without even knowing it. In fact, I had a sweater that I loved for the longest time that was a pullover. And I slowly stopped wearing it as much because I was really into cardigans. And I finally was like, you know what? And my friend knit it. It was actually a sweater my friend knit for me. And I didn't want it to just sit in my drawer. So I made it into a cardigan. And I just sewed on either side of the center front. And I measured like 50 times. And then I actually had some of the yarn left from the edging. And so then I just picked up, got her gauge, and knit a little band there. And then I wore the heck of it. And I still have it. It's still a gorgeous sweater. Yeah, right, Sydney? Yeah, and you have a hard time getting rid of those. But what if you cut them apart a little bit? Like if they're a pullover and maybe they're too tight through here, you could at least make it like an open sweater, right? Oh, Sandy. Is he shaming me for removing a nail? You can just tell him to go away. I'm looking for a simile. Right, Malin? Exactly. No one told you it was scary. In fact, that is such a great way to put that because I didn't know that either. And that's why I said I didn't tell people I was doing it because the first time I mentioned it to my friend who taught me how to knit, she was like, what? But she had never steeked before. Even though she was a really great knitter, she hadn't done it before. I think that's what it was. Or maybe she had, but I don't know. I just wasn't nervous about it. I remove nails with the backside of a hammer, so you can tell them to buzz off. I don't have a flat bar. You can make pot holders. I guess I really like it because you can keep your hands busy. I'm already looking at this fabric going, oh, do I want to cut into it? But yeah, I do. All right, so I want these little scallops to go this way. I'm gonna sneeze. All right, but wait, I want to put both of my pieces here. Excuse me. What is ALMA? Yeah. Get out of here with your bar. I just removed a nail the other day with the backside of a hammer. It's all I had. I was like holding the thing and I was like, oh shoot. And then I was like turning the hammer over and getting it worked. I have to exactly. What would he remove a seam with? I ask you. Okay, so see these points aren't on the same gray stripe. That's kind of what I'm looking for. We'll put it in the middle of this gray one here. I finally got all my, see, I brought all my knitting stuff here to get it out of the way because I wasn't sure where it was actually going to fit in our new house, because at the time we were moving Michael's grandmother in to this little cottage, and that didn't work out. And so we put Cricket in there. We were like, you can be in the cottage, right? And so now I have a room for my stuff, and so I brought back all my knitting. I was like, okay, cool. I can put my knitting here. And I know I thought I only had one project left on needles. Sydney, you should. Right, Malin? Exactly. I know. I love that it looks like waves. I love the colors too. Yeah, right? Oh, Michelle, those things are scary. I totally agree with you. There's no way I could use one of those. I mean, maybe if someone taught me like a trick, because I'd be a little nervous about those. Can I tolerate that, or do I just move it over a little bit? There we go. Yeah, so I got my knitting, and I thought I only had one project on needles, and it's the Diagon Apples scarf by Sweater Spotter. It's kind of just been this project I've been slowly doing for a while. I really love it, and yeah, I just have it. But I forgot I have a colorwork hat all in cashmere, and I stopped. I'm almost done. I stopped because I really hated my cast on edge. I could not get the cast on edge to be elastic but not flaring a little bit. I was so, and I just, oh. And so I decided I'm going to finish it. I'm just going to cut the cast on edge off. Yeah, so. All right, so here we go. I feel like I'm talking a little too much. I'm a little worried about what I got going on here. I really want this to fit right here. I just don't think it will, though. All right. I feel like I want to draw a little cartoon of the like carpenter guy who was shamed by all his friends for using the backside of the hammer. And then, you know, he goes on to save the day with the backside of his hammer somehow, you know. This is I wish I was a cartoonist sometimes. I always come up with ideas for little cartoons. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Sydney. I'm just going to cut it off and bind it. Because I actually cast on like 3 times, and I just couldn't get rid of it because it was a certain cast on I wasn't very good at. And I just decided, like, I even brought it up to one of my friends like years ago, and she was just like, yeah, I would just cut it off and do it again. I was like, all right. And then I was like, oh, do I really want to? Or just want to knit this whole thing again? My color work has gotten a little better. It's the most color work I've ever done. Like, it's the most, there's the most colors in the project, but you're only ever holding 2 colors, so it's not that ambitious as far as, like, color work goes. It's not like, I'm not holding 6 colors. It looks like I did, but I didn't. Okay. Look, there's even a dirty spot on here. Perfect. We'll get rid of this stuff. They can, Sydney, but you don't have to do those kinds of yoke. You're talking about kind of like the ones that What's her name? She's famous. Like as far as parallel knitting goes. I can see her perfectly. And she kind of left Instagram in kind of a controversial thing. What the heck is her name? She does a lot of those beautiful yoked sweaters. Is it a rib? Is what a rib? Oh, yeah, it is a rib, but it was a cast on I hadn't done before with the rib. I think it was a cast on to ensure that the edge would be elastic. Honestly, I should probably just try it on and see if it even looks flared, because it probably doesn't. But if it does, Kate Davies, yeah, exactly, Kate Davies. She's got some gorgeous stuff. But you can do other kinds of, like, I did one by Isolde Teague. It was probably my very first one. I have to admit, her patterns are very confusing for me. My friend hates it when I say that. But the one I did was, and Sydney, she has a huge variety of different, you've probably heard of Isolde Teague. She's a Scottish gal. She's size inclusive, and the one I did was Chickadee. You guys have seen me wear the orange sweater with the little birds around the yoke. I love that one, and those instructions were great, and it's my best fitting sweater by far. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Patty. You have fabric that's circular, tubular knit. That's what it's called. You can cut it apart and just use it as like ribbing, or like, what is it? Is it like a rib? Is that what you said it was? Yeah. Yeah, that Chickadee book is Chickadee is in, what's it called? Yeah, that's what I figured you were talking about, Isolde. What's that book called? I also made her Polworth sweater, but I need just one piece of that. I kind of hacked that sweater to bits. No, I didn't hack it. The pattern, the instructions. I ended up doing a striped sweater, and that Polworth sweater has like a little V right here, like a sweatshirt would, like a classic athletic sweatshirt. It's super cute. And then that V did not work with my striping. I was not that skilled. So I had to take out the V. And then I ended up just like changing the sizing a little bit. But it has some really nice raglan seams for the sleeve shaping that I really like. I love that sweater. It is warm though. Both of those sweaters, I did that sweater in her Polworth, but the stripes are in Brooks yarn. My Chickadee sweater's in Brooks yarn. And, no! It landed flat. Let's hope. Right? Exactly. I don't need mittens either. Yeah, she has some really cute ones, though. Ooh, I got really lucky on that fall. This is a stretch denim. Let's see if I'll regret it. I don't think it's a good idea, to be honest. All right. I don't think I would need to interface this one. Let's see how it feels. So this will be, I mean, I feel like I could still use interfacing. To be, yeah, so Brooks yarn, oh, it's Sincere Sheep. And it's all naturally dyed. And she has her own base. That's what she has this Cormo base. And other really big companies have been trying to copy it. They know who they are. You know who they are. But I won't mention them. One of them even approached her for, like a collaboration. something like that. I can't remember, but I really like it because she works with farmers, like one-on-one, and she gets the yarn and it's, you know, spun the way, and I don't know all the technical stuff. But she has it made to her specifications. That's why she does like the Made Here Yarn Club, because that helps fundraise to buy the bale. I think it's called a bale. It's a huge amount of yarn for the year. So the clip, she calls it the clip. I hope Brooke's not here going, oh my god, Sarah. Yeah, I love the Cormo too. And naturally dyed, all naturally dyed. Her color selection it's really good. Really big color selection. Yeah, so Ray, you can just cut along the fold, or the, like, you know how it's that like circular edge, there's two folds. You can just cut it open, and then you make t-shirts with it, anything you want to make out of it. Yeah, and they just knit it that way. The tubular goods, it's just the way it's made. That's all that. So yeah, it won't unravel or anything like that. Yeah, sometimes you see it, especially like ribs will be tubular knit. And that's what you use for like waistbands and cuffs and neck bands and things for like stretchy clothes. You'll see those are really common for that. You don't see it in like sweatshirt fleeces. It's usually like interlocks and ribs. I don't know about jersey either. I actually do think I saw a jersey once, and it looked like it was torquing even doing that. Yeah, it's just a manufacturing thing. I'm trying to remember why I used to know why they did that, and I can't even think of what it is now. I can't even think of a reason. So yeah. All right, let me get rid of this. And I think I'm just going to cut a few hats out in my rarely used fusible interfacing. And there's no grain line, so that's nice. Can I get that in there? Almost. I can get really nerd out on pattern placement on fabric. I try not to bore you guys. Yeah, a lot of waistbands it can be. It's not for all waistbands though. Yeah, it's like a big sock. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually think it can be better quality too when it's been knit that way. It's probably because, like, have you ever seen a sock knitting machine? A tubular knit machine, and it's a little hand crank? All the knitters know what I'm talking about. And so you can actually, you thread it all up, and then you can just use this crank, and it just knits a tube. And so then you can not cut it off, but like end it, and then you can make socks or hats or whatever with that tube. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, good online source for elastic. I don't, Sydney. I have been using everything I make. I try and make with 1-inch elastic because I have 300 yards of it. No one bought it in my sale, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll go through this. I think if you like, do you have an online, or do you have a fabric store near you? Because you can probably just get it anywhere. Because that's an internal elastic waistband, right? Yeah, right, Ray. Yeah, so it's kind of like that's the extremely tiny knitting needle version of a sock machine, the hand crank kinds. I love the sound of those things. There was one 2 booths away from me at Madrona, and people would just walk up and do it. And then Clemis and Clemis, the father and son team who make a lot of these amazing like wood tools for weavers and knitters and things. Roy's wife, Gina. You've seen her in chat, Gina. She's the newer mom. She's like a 1-year-old. She has a machine. She actually sells socks that she makes from it. Only Joann's. That's fine. You've been zigzagging 1-inch elastic for your Petra. Okay. What width does the Pietra take? Yeah, because that's what I was doing with the free range. And then I realized I really needed to stop making 2 channels on the free range. I needed to keep it just the one piece of wide, you know? All right, let me cut some stuff here. Let me cut this. I just want to, like, trace this off. And cut 3 of them at once. This is how I'm going to do it. So if I trace off everything I need for 1, then I can just lay it down 3 times. You don't need your notches. And at least you'll learn from me if we think interfacing and the canvas is a little too much. We'll know on Saturday, right? Doesn't matter the grain line on interfacing. I like say that out loud just really to remind myself. Okay. You don't have to use fusible. I often don't, right? See, that'd be another good beginning thing. Like, what is interfacing? Why do I need to have one more thing, you know? Oh, Ray, I would love to be your neighbor. This pile feels thicker than this pile. Oh, it's probably the stitching on that fabric. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, 2-inch. Ooh. Silhouette patterns. There you go. All right, I know I might lose a few of you probably while I'm doing the interfacing, so let me show you a couple things that I want to show you guys first before you go. So you don't have to sit here and watch me cut out white stuff. Exactly, Sandy. It's so true. I feel like that would be such a good thing to spend time on creating a then and now. And if you read the comments on that one post, it was really funny. There was people that were like, my mom taught me to do that. My sewing teacher taught me to do that. Why is that wrong, you know? The one thing I saw a lot was that people were like, I never trace my patterns. And I'm like, I've never traced my patterns, ever. And I don't know why you do. So I'm really curious because I know a lot of people do. And so I know it's to preserve the integrity of the pattern, so you always have it in its original condition. But honestly, you know, there's only a few patterns that we sew over and over again, right? So if it helps you to get motivated to like sew faster, if you don't have to spend that extra time tracing it, I say go for it. So, all right, so let me show you my plan this month. Okay, so this is obviously the green is the bucket hat we're doing this week. It's a $2 pattern. Next week we're going to be doing my bin. I didn't bring any because they're at home. I'm using all of them already. And I'm busy working on that pattern. I'm spending hours and hours on that pattern. I was laughing with my husband yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, this pattern, I can do it on one page. But I need to make it so that everybody can do it So, then the next week we're doing underwear. It's my only week. I'm doing 3 streams in 1 week. Men's underwear, women's underwear. I'll show you the pattern in a second. And then the last week is the Jelly Roll Race Quilt. So, so the men's pattern. Okay, this is my men's pattern that I'm doing. I know nothing about this pattern company. I stumbled upon it and I was like, oh, I'm doing that. I got it from Bra Maker's Supply. Comes in waist 30-inch to 44-inch. My fabric's in the laundry, but I got some really great fabric I put in my Instagram stories. I'm going to be making me some underwear too, and I have a bunch of patterns. I have a bunch of patterns I'm going to be playing with. So these are both This one's free. Blank Slate Patterns. I actually watched a YouTube video. It's pretty minimal video as far as like what she covers, but it still, you know, makes it look so easy. I swear these people, they collaborated on their color scheme and their pattern. And Megan Nielsen has a free one as well. You just got to sign up on her newsletter. Both of them. Free patterns. And Christy, remember Christy? She sent me this old quick sew pattern and these Bravo bottoms. And then I'm going to compare my underwear. I'm not done, Eliza. I'm just going over what I'm sewing this month. Oh, it does, Malin? It means little brother? That's cute. Yes. Oh, cool. Michelle, have you made them? The pinup girls? That's awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. So I'm going to try out whatever as far as the underwear pattern goes. And I'm just using a lot of my scraps. I'm going to experiment with all these scraps that I have here. I have a pair of my underwear. I got some jersey sewing needles. If you're doing that, you might want to make sure you have the right needles. My old dress, pajamas, all these like cotton interlock knits. And for my husband, I got some really nice fabrics that are perfect for the men's underwear from Hearts Fabric. And don't forget, we always have that code, the SOSO10, 10% off. That's what I'm going to do for his. And I got like a green and gray stripe and then this like geometric black and gray diamond. Looks really neat. He approved. Oh, you saw it on PBS? Nice. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut apart a couple of mine and compare them to the patterns. Right, Nancy? Exactly. I do too. I feel a little bad because I told you guys I would be doing bras this month, and I just honestly, I just don't need that. And once I started looking at the world of bras, I was like, oh my gosh, I could easily spend a few $100s getting started on this. And I don't really need that. It's just not something, I'm sorry, you guys. This is the way I look at it. I've spent so much time bra shopping in my lifetime, far more than the average person. And I know a lot of us have spent a lot of time. I am not belittling the time you guys have spent. But as far as jog bras goes and stuff like that, and if anyone's looking for a good jog bra and you're busty and you want zero bounce, She Fit. Not an ad, but they're really amazing. And that's the thing is like I have found the ones I like. I just don't want to spend time sewing them really. I'm kind of into it, but I kind of just feel like it's a rabbit hole I'm not quite ready for. Jersey knit, interlock knit, and cotton lycra. Jersey knit is a little flatter, less stretchier than interlock. Interlock is yummier, softer, a little stretchier. And you see interlock knits mostly in like baby clothes. Jersey is more like a t-shirt, but you do see interlock t-shirts. But Jersey is just, it's like thinner, like it's like flatter, and it's just not as stretchy. In fact, I bet it only has crosswise stretch, not length stretch. Cotton lycra, well, those are two fibers. Well, lycra is not a fiber, right? You are an OG. Yeah, you guys. Cotton lycra, that could be lots of things. So I think of cotton lycra as something like you would use for leggings, you know? So it might have a little bit more stretch and it'd be a little bit, it's not as soft and gushy and yummy as interlock. But it could be, that could vary. You could see cotton lycra and it'd be like 50 different fabrics. That's awesome, Michelle. Did you see that Van Johnson Design has a book on how to be a pattern drafter for bras and underwear? I've stumbled on her on Instagram. Yeah, right, Ray? I know. The fabric thing is big. I know. Fabrics are really confusing. My bra brand tips. Yeah, Judith, She Fit. I don't like bouncing at all. I'm a double D. And and they are meant for So many sizes. She Fit. Check them out. Telling you. And you know what? Here's my thing. I'm sorry for anybody who does not like talking about bras or boobs, but I'm just going to tell you, like, one of the things, if you have to wear a jog bra, getting it on and off is like, it's an athletic moment, 3-minute thing on its own. And I literally dread just getting it on and off. But those are zippered. There's a hook here, and then you zip it. Really easy. So don't think, oh my God, how am I going to zip that thing? How am I going to get that tight enough to zip it? You don't worry about that. And then it has a Velcro strap that you can just lift up and then cinch, and then one around the band. I leave the band one in the same exact spot, and this one, once I got it in the right spot, and I had to kind of experiment. And all I do now is I just hook, place everything where I want it, and I zip it up. So totally recommend them. Yeah. Original manufacturer. Oh God, really? I thought it just meant original. Who makes what bra pattern? Does She Fit? You buy. You buy that. It's kind of why I'm saying I'm not really making bras this month, but I am doing underwear, Eliza. Yeah. Old gal. That's awesome. Yeah, because like the pullover bra style does not work for me. And the ones I use like daily, I use a minimizer. And I don't really know how to construct a bra that's a minimizer. I like looking as small as possible. So that's my thing. I've always done that. I've had a breast reduction though. I'm a weird shape. So I've spent a lot of time in my life on my bust. And I still hate it. I really do. I just cut that kind of badly. You know, I would definitely make sure you cut off the ink on your interfacing because you kind of want this piece smaller than your pattern piece. That's just me though. Do a little better job than I am. You can make these a little smaller. Oh, I wish my air conditioning would stay on. I usually put it up to like, or put it down to like 75 while I'm streaming, and I put it back up to 78 when I'm done. You guys get me hot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can show you pictures of mine, but I recommend going to their website, Judith, and they have videos and everything. And, yeah. Green style creation. Oh, has a zip front sports bra pattern. Really? Thumbs up. Thank you. I'm gonna write that down. And then what was the face shield on the bucket hat? That was proper fit. Oh, this is I found this pin the other day without the cap on. Okay, and then green style creations. Oh God. Zip bra. All right, thank you. It looks like I'm making 3 hats. I cut out 3 interfacings. That's permission, right? I think I'm going to go to the fabric store and buy a bunch of fabric for some more bins because I want them all to match in my bedroom. I'm not typically like that. I mean, you know, I like things. I'm just not much of a decorator. All right. I got interfacing. I got my canvas layer. I'm excited about this. I'm excited to sew this. I have not sewn much lately. I've been on the computer so much, you know? The endurance sports bra. Okay. Hi, Adina. How's it going? We need a no rules command. We do. You know what? Maybe that's, so that's what I was thinking. So I'm thinking about just trying out the YouTube membership thing. And so that means like And I would understand if anyone who's a Patreon is like, well, I don't want to do that and this, or I would much rather just do the YouTube thing, because then you get a little badge by your name. So it would say, you know, like whatever badge I design would be next to Eliza's name if she was a member. I think that's what it's called, a member. And so, but then also as a member, you would have access to little emojis that are unique to us that I'd have to have designed and all that. But we should have a no rules one, you know? You know, we could have, you know, a wine glass, you know, with a seam rip, or like a little cocktail with a seam ripper stir in it for any time I use the seam ripper, you know what I mean? And your drink command. I don't know why I'm cutting 3. I cut out 2 hats, but I'm cutting out 3 interfacings. I was kind of just showing how I would stack cut it. Now I'm ready. Sometimes it's good to be ready. It's kind of always good to be ready, right? Yay, Judith. Oh, yeah, you deserve a break. World's sturdiest bucket hat. Well, you know, then I can flip it over and put blackberries in it, or nails, or whatever. It's a bucket. All right, so we have this one. I've cut 2 out. My ugly canvas. It's gonna be good. So we'll sew that on Saturday. So everybody cut yours out. We can sew along. I'll try and follow the directions as close as possible so that you can refer to it if you need to. I might even try sewing one up and just making sure I do it the same way. I don't know, Nancy. That's why I haven't done it. You know, it sticks with me when Walter was like, you should just use every source available to you for monetary things. I was like, he's right. I probably should. And I like the idea of rewarding you guys by having the little badge and stuff. Chin strap and handle, exactly. But at the same time, what I like about Patreon is I can say, hey, here's a free pattern. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to do that in YouTube. So that's why I haven't done it. I don't think that's her very first sewing, but she's been on a mask making mission. I went to the dentist today and there was a guy in there not wearing a mask, even though it's like clearly on the door to wear a mask, and wait in your car. And I was like, what the heck? No, I wouldn't. I would not interface it if you make it out of denim. I think denim would be perfect. You would love a crown as an emoji. Maybe the badge could be a crown. Just remember, Nancy, everybody's badge is going to be the same. So you'd have to share that crown. Yeah, exactly. Never made masks before. I had never made masks before either. I think I might modify a pattern and make it with darts right here so that it closes this little thing right here at that gap. Yeah, see, Michelle, and that's what it says. Someone told me that. They were like, beware of that. And because I feel like for me, when I give money to streamers on Twitch, there's a few ways to do it. One of them is becoming a member of their stream. Then there's one that has, you can give bits, which is just like giving them like, you can give them a penny. And some streamers have like a minimum, like 5-cent minimum. But, you know, like I'll give $3 here, $2 there. And then I learned they get maybe 40% of that. And you pay a fee to buy those. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm paying a fee to buy those so that the streamer doesn't get taxed that fee. And they still don't get the whole amount. So I've stopped using it, you know? And so it's like I really want to make sure, I don't want people to feel like, well, wait, you're not getting as much, you know? I don't know. I hate it. I hate thinking about this. Does anyone want to be my manager? Is this a full link right here? I'm going to check it. Oh, it is. Okay. It looked like a broken link right there. Your first hat. Woo, woo. Right, Nancy? I know. Well, you know what? Like, when she was like, hey, if you're uncomfortable, we can reschedule. And I was thinking, why do I have to reschedule? I made it here. I am suited and booted. Why does I have to leave? Why doesn't he have to leave? And she was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I am right. Yeah, that might be true, Patty. So I read today on YouTube that the creator, just me, gets 70% after the taxes and something else. They pay the credit card fee. So I don't really know. And then someone else was like, oh, I know that the person I support only gets 40%. Nancy, but we're about supportive bras here too. Jessie, mask pattern. 30 different sizes. Wow. That's ambitious. Yeah, so, and I like Patreon because I can give you a pattern, or I could give you a discount code through YouTube, but that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to still do that. Give you PDFs and stuff like that. So, I'm researching it. Just one of the many things I'm doing, so. All right. So, so here's my, so this is what I'm using for my jelly roll. I got all these colors of Essex, and I'm going to make my own jelly rolls on the camera. So I'm making my own jelly roll for the jelly roll race. And then we're doing, I'm sorry I don't have the bin here. I can't believe I didn't bring them to show them off. But I'll have them on Saturday and can show you. You can see what it's like when I'm holding it and touching it and moving it around. So, who censors? Yeah, I mean, who censors, Michelle? Which one? Twitch doesn't censor. Patreon? Does Patreon? I mean, I know, like, both. I know Patreon allows, like, very alternative, folks on there. Like, there's definitely, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm not in that category, which is cool. I mean, I guess it's a safe place for them. So there's folks that can sell their content. They censor. I didn't know that. How do they censor? It's good to know. I don't like censorship. You can't wait for the bin. You got a half of a jelly roll? You got a subscription box with a jelly roll in it? That sounds fun. What else do I have to show you guys? Oh, I have one more thing. Okay, I've literally looked at this fat quarter bundle for probably a year, and I finally bought it. And it's Carolyn Friedlander, but all these are yarn dye, all these little plaids. Why do I keep thinking the camera's over here? I love this. It's just so, like, all the plaids. See, some of these are prints. Like, this one is a print of hers. But these are all yarn dyes. Yarn dye, print. And look at this. It's really cool. It's kind of bright, I know. Half yard bundle, not a fat quarter bundle. Oh, a little quilting subscription box. That sounds kind of fun. Yarn dye, print. So just these are the prints. This little grid and the scallop. Isn't it amazing? I love this kind of stuff. Their services, really. I probably need to look at that. I'll probably Google that later. I find I like Patreon because it's been pretty simple, but it's a little clunky. Like, say I want to send one of you a message. What is it that... I can't remember what it is. I just find it really clunky. I find I have to click like 6 things before I find the one thing to click, I don't know. Half yard. I can make a bin with these. Do you know how tempting it is? I want to cut this up for everything. And look, it really kind of goes with these colors here. So maybe my wall hanging above my bed will be this. I doubt it. I think it'll be that though. But oh yeah, I have giveaways this month. I got to figure this out because I want to do it live this time. I need to figure this out at ASAP. But I have the seam ripper I use. I got some Kylie and the Machine labels. Some buttons from Tabitha Sewer that she makes. I got the wood ones. My husband loved his shirt, you guys, by the way. And then I'm actually wearing a dress with these on them right now. These buttons are awesome. And I got 3 books. I got one by Wendy Ward, Sewing Basics for Everybody. I hadn't even opened this yet. Oh, there's patterns. Ooh, look at these patterns. Wow. And I got Jen Hewitt's Print Pattern Sew. So and there's actually patterns in here as well. So if you want to play with like carving your own block and printing. So I got these for you guys. And then these are some old sewing kits. I'm going to make you guys sewing kits. So I want to do that this month. But I kind of want to do it live. But I may have to figure it out. We may just do the comment section again. That's awesome, Nancy. Me too. I support 2 people and it's just basically I want to support what they're doing. The stack of fabric. Who made that? Carolyn Friedlander. Yeah, that's what I was about to say to you earlier, Vicky, when I started getting my tickle. I think you're going to love the bin. Yeah, it's Carolyn Friedlander. And I don't know if all those yarn dyes were available as fabrics. This fabric store probably wouldn't pick those up because they're more quilting focused. They were really expanding their garment fabric selection. And then kind of fell apart in that area last year. So I'm not sure if they're really going to keep adding to the garment sewing stuff or not. But yeah, we'll see. But I finally just bought that stack because I was like, you know what? I want this. Yeah, Carolyn Friedlander. And Fat Quarter Bundle, Harriet. They gave me a teacher discount. Don't worry. There you go. Harriet. Must be the name of it. They have a few there still. They've been sitting there a bit. Yeah, and those are all half yard pieces, so it's like 8 yards of fabric. I'm into it. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. So thanks for the tips today, you guys. That was really nice of you, Ray and Judith. Thank you. And I will be live here Saturday at 11. We'll make some hats. Please like this video if you can, and if you feel like commenting afterward in the comment section, that's helpful as well. And I will see you Saturday. And hopefully I'll have some more things finished up for you guys this month. So I'm excited. Thanks. I'll see you guys Saturday. Bye.